Good evening. Welcome to Confessions. I'm your hostess of light, Jenny Watson. Tonight we'll be talking about taking risks. Now, we usually spend a lot of time weighing pros and cons before we make a decision. And not that that's bad, but sometimes we use the cons to come up with reasons or excuses to why we don't do something, why we don't follow through, and, we don't follow our heart, or worse, to give in to fears. We just need to learn to look fear, failure, and the known right in the face and do it anyway. The risk may or may not pay off, but, when it does, man, magic really does happen. So joining me tonight is Steve Borek. He is an entrepreneur and career coach. He is no stranger to risk-taking, and he helps his clients through challenging breakthroughs and asks the question, what is your end game? So it's a pleasure to have Steve on with me tonight to Confessions. Welcome, Steve. How are you?
I'm Marvy, Jenny.
Good. I'm glad you're Marvy. Are you ready to bare your soul?
Ready. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, first, it's a pleasure to meet you. Steve is a friend of Kelvin, who I had on a few episodes ago, and it's really cool I love meeting connections with people from, the show and ongoing. I love meeting new people, so it was great to meet you. So how did you know Kelvin?
Believe it or not, I was just calling people in a local chamber of commerce. I was actually just doing some cold calls and just reaching out and networking, and I gave him left him a message, told him what I did, and then he called me back. I wasn't here when he called, and he left me the longest voicemail message in my life. I had to get extra disk space just to save it, but it turned into a great relationship, and Kelvin is a good friend of mine.
Great guy, great guy. Well, thanks for, reaching out and coming on the show. It's an honor to have you on. So let's get to it. Let's talk about you. So I read about you that you grew up in a very challenging neighborhood, and that experience lent a lot of lessons to your life. Do you want to talk a little bit about your growing up?
Yeah, I grew up in the inner city, a place called Yonkers. It was just outside of New York, and yeah, it was a tough neighborhood. Well, I lived in the hood. That's what they call it today. I didn't know it. That's where we were at back then, but we lived in the hood. And I think that's where I picked up a lot of my street smarts, and I don't know. I think I adopted at a very young age emotional intelligence. All right, so understanding where people are coming from, gauging them, and being able to adjust myself from that environment. And I always wanted to get out of the inner city. I always thought I was going to move to upstate New York, and which I thought was Poughkeepsie, which was about 2 hours from, well, about an hour from Yonkers, and I wound up moving up to central New York, the Syracuse area, which is about 4 hours away.
I know, it's funny. When I hear upstate New York, I usually think of Poughkeepsie too. I think many people do, not realizing that there's more upstate to go.
Well, actually, Yonkers is upstate New York to people that live in New York City. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I grew up, and I learned a lot growing up there. So.
And so, speaking to your emotional intelligence that you learned, you said you've always felt like you were a natural coach, which begs the question, you have an education in accounting and computer systems. What led you in that direction instead?
Well, I was in my second or third year of my bachelor's, my undergraduate degree, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to get into. So accounting and finance came really easy to me. So I decided to take it and aced all my accounting classes, and that's what I did.
Very cool. But that background seems to come in handy with you. You are now an entrepreneur and business coach. And what I love, the term that you came up with, is very clever. It's strategic thinking partner. I love that. What made you make the connection between what you were doing and what you wanted to do?
Well, the accounting really had nothing to do with what I'm doing today. The accounting helped me to get into the computer industry, where I sold accounting applications on computers and things like that for about 23 years. But there was something missing, And I always enjoyed people and connecting with people, and I was born with this ability to tap into somebody in regards to what they're thinking. And I'm not a mind reader, but I sense everything about them. You know, I can sense if they're being if they're authentic, which is one of my favorite words, if they're authentic, if they're living a lie, if I can tell if they're really passionate about what they do or if they're not. I hear what they say and what they don't say. So I should have been in coaching many years ago, but we'll save that part for the confession, I think.
That's great. So I think it's important to point out how there was a shift, that you were doing this, you were naturally great at it, but it wasn't in your heart. And we'll get to that later. But the same token, you know, it shows that it was a huge risk for you. And, you know, I want to talk about that a little bit, that, you know, here we are, we work in our comfort zones, and then we really want to go after something that we're passionate about. So how do you make that switch from comfort zone to risk-taking?
That's a very good question. It actually wasn't risky for me.
Interesting.
It wasn't risky for me. I'm the type of person that will analyze something 8 ways to Sunday. Okay? And 8 ways to Sunday. I mean, I've got to look at a lot of information before I make a decision. When I found out about the coaching industry, I did my research in regards to, I wanted to go to ICF, that's International Coach Federation. I wanted to go to ICF accredited coaching school. That's the governing body of the coaching industry. And I knew within a couple of days this was my future, this is my direction. And the reason it wasn't a risk was because it's who I really am. Okay, I finally arrived home. I was authentic, and I had no idea how I was going to make a living at it, but I just knew that this is where I belonged, and I went for it. And I thank God every day. You know, I was in sales for 23 years, and I said to myself, how am I ever going to get out of this? How am I going to ever get out of the sales profession? And then one day it happened, and I said, wow, thank God. So. And there's nothing that I would rather do than coach, work with business owners, CEOs, their teams, to get them to where they want to go quicker.
That's fantastic. I think we should all live with that kind of knowledge, that that wisdom, that if authentic is a great word, I use it all the time myself. If we're being true to who we are and we're living on a purpose, then it shouldn't feel risky, even though on the outside you can, before getting to that point, you'd be like, oh, that would be too risky, that would be too risky. But once you own it, then you just go for it. So for people who might be in that, oh, it's kind of risky for me to go for it, what kind of advice would you give them to maybe get them to accept that it's just authenticity, being who they are?
It's a really hard thing to do. I'm going to be honest, and most people never get there. Why don't they get there? Because they don't focus on it. The most important thing I do for my clients is I get them to focus on what they want. What they want. And most people don't do that. Most people, they drift through life like a stick that's, you know, thrown in a stream, and it meanders whichever way the current's going to take them. And that's how they live their life. I just got finished working with a Fortune 500 executive, making huge bank, a boomer, and he could not stand his job, could not stand the environment. So I took him through a 12-week program, which I have. I work with my coaching business is broken up into 2 areas. I do one-on-one coaching and team coaching with business owners and entrepreneurs. And I got this other chunk on career transition. All right, so, and it's called Now What? 90 Days to a New Life Direction. And I took this gentleman through a 12-week ride. At the beginning of week 1, he had no idea where he was going. And at the end of the 12th week, actually in week 9, he started a process with another Fortune 500 company, and he secured a significant offer from them for the dream job of his career.
Wow.
A job that not only pays the light bill, but lights him up. Okay.
I love that.
So I forgot what your original question was, but what happens is people have, why don't they go after it? They have to get focused on what they want. And that's a very hard thing to do. That's why a coach is so important to get you from where you are to where you want to go.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. And you've called it your end game.
What's your end game?
Yeah, what's your end game? I think that's brilliant. And then it's not, and we also talk about it's, the journey along the way, but if you don't know what your end game is, then how can you even start your journey?
Great question.
Right?
So if you knew what your end game was, why would you even hire a coach? Right? So people say to me, boy, I want to work with a coach, but I'm not sure what I want. Well, if you knew what you wanted, all right, you wouldn't need a coach. All right? So if you're not sure what you want, that's the great reason to hire a coach, because a coach will get you focused. And then most of my clients stay with me for like 22 months. 2 to 3 calls a month, and those are the business clients. And then they go away, and then they come back. Well, why do they stay with me for so long? Because they're getting results, right? They're staying focused. An entrepreneur will walk in, like a typical entrepreneur, they know exactly what they need to do to take their business from here to there. They know what they have to do, right? So they hire me, and they get traction, and they start to see results, and their business gets better, and they get more, they make more revenue, and they hire great people, and then they achieve things in their professional life and their personal life. And it's never ending. It's never ending. So usually the people I work with have tasted success. They've had a taste of success, and they want to go further and further and further. So most of the people I'm working with, they've had businesses for quite a while. So a coach just keeps them on track, keeps them focused, and the ROI is significant. It's usually 7 times.
That's great. So I also love that you work with organizations. Now we hear so many people, like you just mentioned, work one-on-one with people, and that's very effective, but there is such value in getting into the brains of an organization and helping to shift a culture so that the organization shifts in a successful way, not just individuals within it, but the whole unit. So how does that work?
Well, how that works is usually working with somebody that's high up in the organization, that's a sponsor, that really wants to do it. All right, so it really starts with leadership. Because, I'm sure you work for companies where they say, we're going to do this new program, and we're going to put this into action, and everybody is kind of like saying under their breath, okay, how long is this going to last?
I plead the fifth.
In about 3 to 6 months, it's going to all go back to where it was. So it takes commitment at the top from the leader, and the leader actually modeling the way. So I've got some leadership programs, and one of the things that has to happen is the leader has to model the way. And if the leader is, here's that word again, authentic, truly authentic, then I basically go in and say, okay, what do you want to see different in your organization? That's really where I started. If we work for a certain period of time, what will be different about your organization that you don't have right now? And then from there, I customize a game plan from a coaching perspective and working with their team.
And this is where your own experience comes into play, because with all your years in corporate America and all of that, you can guide them because you're familiar with what they're going through.
Aha! No.
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 I mean,
some of that comes into play. Some of that, my experience, it does come into play. But here's the misconception about a truly genuine, trained, ICF certified coach. they usually don't tell their clients what to do.
Of course, yeah.
They don't tell them what to do. So what I'm all about is going in and finding out, okay, where do you want to go, and asking them lots of great questions. But I think the experience, I think my greatest strength is understanding, reading between the lines in regards to, okay, is this what you really want to do? And so I get really to the heart of the matter. And at times it could be uncomfortable for them. All right. What I want to do is I want them to be vulnerable. Vulnerable. So there's a book by Jim Collins called Good to Great, and it came out many years ago. It was a bestseller, and he studied all the great companies in the world and the ones that were really successful. He called those level 5 companies. And those level 5 companies were led by level 5 leaders. And the two most significant attributes of those leaders was they were vulnerable and they had humility. So when you tell it to people, they go, that can't be. You want them to be humble. You want them to be vulnerable. Like show people not just the good, but the pimples and the warts, and where they're not perfect. That's what you got to do as a leader.
Yep.
Because once you show them that I'm not perfect, that team is going to say, wow, this is a human being I'm working for. I'm going to go through this wall. I'm going to either run through it, I'm going to hop over it, I'm going to go around it, or I'm going to dig a tunnel under it. They will do anything for vulnerable, authentic, humble leaders.
I agree. I've actually seen that. I've seen that in action, and it's shifting. It's amazing how when you're not just seen as all the way up at the top, that you're another human being, and it changes people's perspective of the company and the individuals, and it really is amazing. So I love that you do that kind of work. So what kind of services do you offer to people to get them started?
Well, a number of things. I do one-on-one coaching with business owners or high potentials within larger companies. I do work with their teams. Basically just one-on-one coaching and team coaching. I've got some leadership development workshops that we can do, but it all depends upon what they're looking for. I'm also certified in a number of assessments, behavioral assessments, that can give an organization, give the team an idea of the different behavioral styles of the people that are on the team, and most of what I do is by phone or Skype. All right, so I don't usually coach people in person. I do. So if a company wants me to come out and do a workshop and work with them one-on-one, I will do that. But I will say, 90% of the time I'm coaching by phone and or Skype, and usually about, I'd say 90% of the time by phone. So most of my clients, we never even see each other.
The beauty of internet connecting us everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, coaching by phone is extremely powerful because, if I had to coach somebody in person, let's say they were in South Korea where I've had clients, well, we could do it on Skype. But, even I've had clients locally here in the Syracuse, New York area, and we rarely ever met. We would just do phone coaching. It's convenient. You can do it from anywhere. And, sometimes when you meet somebody in person, there's lots of distractions. I'm looking at how they're dressed and, how beautiful their, Jenny's hair is and, and her necklace. And
I love it. Keep talking. Keep talking.
So a lot of that can get in the way, but I can pick up everything on the phone.
Right.
More so, I think, than even as in person, because there's so many distractions. But, so those are some of the types of things I do for business owners. And then I've got this other chunk of what's called Now What? 90 Days to a New Life Direction, which is based on career transition. The story I told about the Fortune 500 executive. Because 71% of people are disengaged from their jobs. In fact, I saw another report that said, it's almost 85%. Disengaged, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Man, they are checked out. They don't want to be there. They either can't stand their company, they can't stand their boss, they can't stand their job, they can't stand their industry.
How
And
sad
some
is
are
that?
actively disengaged. What does that mean? They're trying to poison other people in the organization, right? So the career transition piece is usually for people, personal, one-on-one. People are looking to make that career transition.
So you're doing all this, and you're also involved in a lot of volunteer organization, and you've got memberships. So you're in so many of them. What are some of your favorite?
Volunteer organizations. My favorites are the Rescue Mission, which is our local soup kitchen, and I've been doing volunteer work every Thanksgiving and Christmas, where I go down and serve turkey dinners to the clients. So I've been doing that for over 10 years. And then in 2006, I got involved in a local community theater, which is a nonprofit, and started doing some things behind the scenes, and then they asked me to produce a play, and I said, I don't know how to produce a play. How am I going to produce a play? So, but I did, and then I produced 7 more. So,
Guess you caught on good.
Huh?
I guess you did a good job.
I guess I did. Yes. So those are the 2 big ones. I used to be involved with the Special Olympics and the Cancer Society, but I've scaled back on some of that. So, but I can't help everybody, but I can help somebody.
All right, so we've had a great discussion up till now, and then a lot of it's focused around, you've made reference to, being in corporations and working in the business world, and now being in coaching, and your confession is tied into what exactly you had just said before, where people get to the point where they are disengaged and checked out totally. So take us through that journey with us for you, and what was your breaking point? What finally made you say, enough is enough?
Is this the lie yet?
This is the what? This is a confession, baby.
Is this the confession?
This is a confession.
Okay, here it is. Here's the deal. So remember when I was talking about I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, major in accounting or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I took this one course called industrial psychology, and that's where you get into all the soft stuff, the behavior stuff with employees, and I was doing these team assessments, and this was like the adrenaline was flowing. So I went to one of my management professors, and I said, and I didn't know that this was coaching at the time. And this is way back when. In fact, probably coaching wasn't even around. But I kind of wanted to be on that people side. Mm-hmm. So I went to my management professor, and I told him what I thought I was going to do. And he said to me, "Do you want to make money?" I said, "Yes, sir." "Then stick to business." So I got an accounting degree. I got accounting and a finance degree. And I had a great career, transitioned into selling computers, hardware, and then software and ERP systems and CAD/CAM and all this. But I was living a lie. Here's the confession. I was living a lie. Okay? And the lie was that wasn't who I am. It's not who I was. And so I got an email from a self-help author that I bought one of his books from. And it said, check out this world of coaching. I didn't know what coaching was, but I was going to check it out. And I did, and I said, I said, I'm not sure about what this exactly is, but then I investigated for a couple of days, and then, boom, I threw down, it must have been, I don't know, $3,000 to enroll in Coach University. And then I knocked down another couple of grand to get into their advanced program. And then 10 years later, I've got a coaching business, and I'm now a faculty leader for Coach University. I
Wow.
teach courses to other coaches. So the confession was I was living a lie, and that's what most people do. They live a lie. Same thing in regards to the producer stuff. Back when I was a teenager, I thought I was going to be behind the scenes in the entertainment industry, but I didn't go that route. I got an accounting and finance degree. And then 20 some odd years later, no, probably a little bit more than that, I got this opportunity to start producing plays. I arrived. This was my passion, right? So I was living a lie. I was trying to be something that I wasn't, and that's very hard to do. It's very hard. Now, I had a very successful career. I really did. I enjoyed what I was doing, but I knew it wasn't my passion. But, when you're young and you're first starting out, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? I want to make some money. I want to get the nice car, I want to get the nice house, and so on and so forth. But I wish but I was living a lie. Right. And that's what a lot of people that are struggling, if they don't have if their business isn't where it's at, or if they're in a career that's not lighting them up, they're living a lie. And I'm here to tell you that if you get focused on what you really are passionate about, in regards to career, in regards to the business, do you really want to be in that business? Or is it just a job? If it's just a job, man, get out of it. Create a business that you really, really want. And people are afraid. They're afraid to go there. They're afraid to be authentic because they're saying, I can't have that. Yes, you can. I'm living proof that you can have it. So that I was living a lie for a lot of years, and but I've arrived, and thank God that I did find out about coaching. So.
Wow, Steve, that was pretty powerful, and I'm tearing up because I could relate to a lot of that. That was really great, and I think not a lot of people put it that way, that you're living a lie, and it's so to the point that it's brilliant. So I want to thank you for sharing that story with all of us, and thank you for coming on the show too. 30 minutes flies by. So as a wrap up, Steve, I want to know, what's your end game?
Check, please. Garcon. We'll discuss that. We have to give people something to come back for. We're going to discuss that on the next time.
Oh, okay. So this is the teaser part now.
This is the teaser. This is the cliffhanger.
You're all living a lie. You're living a lie. Then you can come back and see what the end game is.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you on.
Jenny, it was so much fun. Thanks.
Great. Now, where can people check you out? How can they find you?
Well, I got two websites. You can go to endgamebusiness.com, endgamebusiness.com. My name is Steve Borek, B-O-R-E-K. That's my main site. I also have a blog that I write weekly for that. You can find it on the website. And then if you're in career transition, you can find me at that site too, but I have a website called High Definition Coaching, H-I-G-H, highdefinitioncoaching.com, and that will tell you about the, if you're in a career that, you're checked out, you're disengaged, and I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're in your early 20s or if you're in your 50s. If it's the career's not lighting you up, go to highdefinitioncoaching.com, and I can even give you some free resources to get you started.
Oh, very cool. So I'll be posting all those links in the video below, so you can find him real easily and just click on it. I am Jenny Watson. I'm a personal empowerment coach. You can find me at www.jennifer-watson.me. Interested in coming on my show and confessing to me? Give me an email at jenny@jennifer-watson.me. Thank you for tuning in this week and every week. Join me next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I almost said Central. I don't know where that came from. Eastern Time, as I interview Genevieve Elisa. She is a certified health coach with a holistic approach to nutrition. So we'll be learning some fun new health facts. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your love and support. Namaste, and embrace your power.